Hi, today we're going to work on the Spring Blossom insert for the Interchangeable Window Box from the Rust Covered Cottage by Christina. I love this kit. It is so fun and so intricate. So I am taking off my pieces, categorizing them by the colors that I am thinking of painting them. And I'm also going to do some decoupage. So I have this paper pack that I got from Hobby Lobby. It's from the Paper Studio. It's the Theodosia set. And I spent lots of time trying to figure out which sheet of paper I wanted to use because they are all so beautiful. And I'm using my Paint Couture decoupage medium. This is a matte finish decoupage medium. And then I should have waited, but I was trying to cut off some of the excess before it got to dry. But I learned my lesson, won't try that again. For the plate on the front of the window box, I am just giving it a good coat of basil. This is the next day, so these pieces have dried. Painting basil over the stems and the leaves. This is another mineral acrylic paint. All the paints I'm using today are mineral acrylics from Paint Couture. This shade of red is gorgeous. It is called Barn Door. I'm going to kind of clean out the grooves because I want you to see the lines of the tulip. Then I'm going to put a second coat on all of that. And just kind of brushing around, trying not to get on the paper so much. And I got some red on there, so making sure I was going to actually get rid of that piece. And then I decided to use a stencil and Paint Couture's new stencil paste on the nameplate. So I had this stencil with flowers. I'm pretty sure that I got it from Temu, because when I went to look at my orders from Amazon, I could not find it. So I think it's a Temu set, but it has lots of sizes and lots of different flower stencils. With the stencil paste, I am just brushing it on with a palette knife and then getting the excess. Wasn't trying to be smooth or anything, just wanted coverage. I love the texture that it gives and kind of almost an embossing effect. And then I'm going to use my little ombre sponges to paint my little pieces. This is pitch black. I love the little ombre sponges because I just flip them around and keep using them several times. And there's like 100 in the pack, so I got a lot of go in it. This white is actually called Italian Ivory. It is soft off-white. I thought that would blend better with the champagne color of the stencil paste that I used on that. So I'm giving everything 2 coats. Again, all of these are Paint Couture mineral acrylics. Forgot those other pieces of white because they got separated because I originally was going to do them a different color, and you know how it is. You change your mind in the middle of stuff. I'm going to use Spanish Sunrise as my yellows. And again, using those little micro sponges with the handle tool and then cleaning out any grooves, trying to make sure that I have nice full coverage. And then I'm just moving on. Now for the purples, I'm using 2. The lighter purple is called Kale Sprout. The darker purple is Purple Haze. I love these purples together. Sometimes I'll throw in a third that's called Eggplant. All 3 of them are gorgeous, and they actually kind of get darker and darker, and it's a great for ombre effect. For my heart, I am using a pale pink. This is French Rose. And again, everything gets 2 coats. Everything. And then I'm going in with my champagne glaze because I'm trying to pull that champagne from that front plate up into the rest of the project. So I am just using a blending brush to brush that champagne around the edges of all the pieces except for the words, because the words are already going to be on that champagne background, so I didn't want to make it even more difficult to read or anything. Not that it's going to be difficult to read. And then I'm back at trying to get cut so that I can get my sander up in these little holes. And I was second guessing myself, as I always do, saying, what have I done? I've got all these nooks and crannies to sand. So I just tried to cut as much as I could away so that the sanding would be a little less, and just kept working at it and kept working at it. Then I brought out my micro sander set. I got this from Amazon, and it did okay on the handle, but it could not fit in all the little spaces. So I went and got my nails stuff. I have a big dollar file from Walmart that has 2 different grits. I have just a plain old emery board that, you get in like a 50 pack. And then I have my glass nail file, and I'm alternating between those based on what fits in what space. And I'm trying my best to remember to sand down toward the paper so that it kind of goes over the edge and then pulls off. And you'll see that I keep going back and finding more spots that I need to sand. But I did put another layer of the Decoupage medium over top of that, really trying to get those edges glued down. And later on, when I put my dead flat on top, I do that even more. I'm really, really, really trying to make sure that those edges have adhered well. For this tulip, I'm going in with a very, very, very pale pink called Peony. I love this pink, but it is very pale. It does not look pink right now, but it is, I promise. And then after that dries, I'm going to brush another pink on top. Autumn Sage is what I'm using now, and it blends perfectly. I mean perfectly with this paper. So I'm going around to the places where I accidentally tore it, or you could see a white edge from where I sanded, and I'm just cleaning those places up. And then for the actual spout, I did paint that 2 coats of Autumn Sage all over it. And I just love how, accidentally, on purpose, I guess, it looks great together. Then I brushed a little bit of that Autumn Sage across the Basil just to give it some more depth and variation in there. I go digging at more paper. Yeah, I just kept going back to it. But I love how it turned out, so it was worth it. It really was, I promise. But I almost wish I should have probably folded a piece of sandpaper to get up into those little holes. That may have worked better. But, you live and learn. Now I'm going in with that French rose that is a darker pink, and I am brushing it around the edges and where that one petal is kind of folding over. And then I'll grab my the color brush I use for Peony and blending that in just to give it some color variation. And I knew I wanted to do that. That was planned, but it really did make the tulip pop. And of course, I'm going to use my Debbie's DIY Dark Wax to distress everything. And I mean everything, all the letters, everything, the paper, everything. Anytime I got too much, I just buffed it back with my fingers. Then I'm going to do my light layer of dead flat top coat. The mineral acrylic paints have a built-in top coat, so you don't have to do one, but I like matte finish, and the mineral acrylics have just a little bit of maybe a satiny color to it, so I wanted to make it dead flat. And so there I distressed my paper and all of the backboard, and then put my coat of dead flat. And of course, I did not remember that I needed to get that plate at the bottom, the piece that inserts into the window box. I needed to paint that, so I'll figure it out and go back. But I am just placing all my pieces on there, making sure that I really, really, really like what I'm seeing before I glue it. Because if I have something I want to change, now is the time. Now is the time. Those little pieces of the bees were giving me fits, but I got them. I didn't let them beat me. And there I go, fixing up the bottom, putting just one coat of autumn sage just so that it looks finished. You're not going to see that part. It wasn't a big deal, but I like for it to look finished. And I'm going to build my flowers, and then I'm going to put my words on. I really wanted my words to have time to set up, and I'm pressing with more pressure than I normally do because that flower background with the stencil paste is raised up. So I want my words to adhere to that and to the wood background. So I'm really putting pressure there. And then getting some excess paint out of those wings, and then just putting together all of the pieces that are multi-layered first so that they have a little time to dry before I go putting them on the backboard. And I love, love, love how it's coming together. Oh, so cute, so cute. And there you have it. I love it. I hope you do too. So there's an up close of the stencil paste and the paper. And there's my 2 windows. I actually have 3, but my other one's at school in my classroom. And so I put it in both. Which one do you like better? I can't decide. I hope you like this video. If you do, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.